Imagine you're one of the richest men on earth. You own mansions, you influence governments, newspapers write about everything you do. Then one day, you step aboard the most luxurious ship ever built. People call it Unsinkable. 4 days later, you're dead at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. And according to one of the most controversial conspiracy theories in history, that may have been exactly what someone wanted. Today, we're diving into the mystery of three powerful men, a sinking ship, and a theory that refuses to die even after more than a century. But be warned, the deeper we go, the stranger this story becomes. April 10th, 1912. The Titanic leaves Southampton on its maiden voyage. It wasn't just a ship, it was the symbol of human achievement, the largest moving object ever created by mankind, the ultimate luxury experience. If Instagram had existed in 1912, every influencer on Earth would have been posting selfies from the grand staircase. The ship carried over 2,200 passengers. Among them were some of the richest people alive. One was John Jacob Astor IV. Astor wasn't just wealthy. He was buy an island because you feel like it, wealthy. Another passenger was Benjamin Guggenheim, heir to a mining fortune. Then there was Isidor Straus, co-owner of Macy's department stores. These weren't ordinary millionaires. These were men whose decisions could affect entire industries. And within a few days, all three would be dead. At first, their deaths were seen as part of a terrible tragedy. But decades later, a shocking theory began spreading. What if these men weren't simply unlucky passengers? What if they were targets? To understand the theory, we need to travel from the icy Atlantic Ocean to the world of banking. At the time, America was debating whether it needed a central banking system, a powerful institution that could influence the nation's money supply. This institution would eventually become known as the Federal Reserve. Now here's where conspiracy theorists enter the story. They claim certain powerful financial figures desperately wanted the Federal Reserve to be created, and according to the theory, some wealthy businessmen opposed those plans, including Astor, Guggenheim, and Straus. So what happened next? According to believers of the conspiracy, the Titanic wasn't merely a passenger ship, it was a floating trap, a way to eliminate influential opposition in one single event. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, the theory gets even stranger. Conspiracy theorists point to several coincidences. First, all three wealthy men died when Titanic sank. Second, the Federal Reserve was established only a year later. And third, one of the most powerful bankers in the world, J.P. Morgan, was originally expected to travel on Titanic, but he canceled at the last minute. Now imagine seeing that headline today. A billionaire suddenly decides not to board a ship. The ship sinks, and thousands of people die. The internet would lose its mind. Within minutes, we'd have 50 YouTube documentaries, 2 Netflix specials, and at least one guy claiming he solved the mystery from his basement. So naturally, people began asking questions. Was Morgan warned? Did he know something? Was the disaster planned? And those questions helped the theory spread across books, documentaries, and eventually social media. Because let's be honest, humans love mysteries, especially when rich people, secret plans, and giant disasters are involved. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. When historians started investigating the claims, they ran into a major problem. There was very little evidence supporting the theory. In fact, there is no strong historical proof that Astor, Guggenheim, and Straus were actively leading a fight against the Federal Reserve. That's the first crack in the conspiracy. Then comes the second problem. If the sinking had been planned, it would have required an enormous cover-up. Think about it. Shipbuilders, engineers, crew members, government investigators, rescue personnel, survivors. Thousands of people would need to remain silent, not for a few years, not for a few decades, but for more than 100 years. And somehow, no documents emerge, no confessions appear, no smoking gun is found. That's a pretty difficult secret to keep. Then came one of the biggest discoveries of all. In 1985, the wreck of the Titanic was finally found deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Researchers studied the damage. They examined the ship's remains, and what they found matched what survivors had reported all along: a collision with an iceberg, not evidence of explosives, not evidence of sabotage, just a catastrophic accident caused by ice, speed, and a series of unfortunate decisions. In other words, the evidence pointed toward tragedy, not conspiracy. But here's the fascinating part. Even after all that, the theory refuses to disappear. Why? Because people struggle to accept random tragedy. We want answers. We want villains. We want a mastermind sitting in a dark room saying, everything is going according to plan. Because that feels easier to understand than pure bad luck. The idea that one of the greatest disasters in history happened because of human mistakes and unfortunate timing feels almost too simple. And that's why conspiracy theories survive. They turn accidents into mysteries. They turn tragedies into stories. And sometimes, the story becomes more famous than the truth itself. So what do you think? Was the Titanic simply the victim of an iceberg? Or do you believe there are still unanswered questions hidden beneath the Atlantic Ocean? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed uncovering one of history's most famous mysteries, hit the like button and share this video with someone who loves conspiracies. Because sometimes the most fascinating part of history isn't what happened. It's what people believe happened.